On their mission to invade Paradise Island and to slaughter the wicked aliens, Reiner cost the team their captain Marcel, who sacrificed himself for Reiner and got devoured by a titan that threatened the team's safety. After that, Annie, Bertolt, and Reiner were all left traumatized. Annie advised her comrades that they find and terminate the titan that now possesses one of the 9 titans' abilities, and return to Marley, as they are no longer in proper shape to face battle without Marcel. Reiner, on the contrary, believes that they should stay, as it would harm his reputation, and the possibility for an extreme penalty is high. Annie knows that Reiner is simply trying to protect himself from being punished, and insists that they leave anyways. Reiner again probes the idea of staying because they are too not free from punishment, and this prompts Annie to pummel him to the ground mercilessly, as she releases all of her frustration and anger on him. As she turns around to leave, Reiner lunges at her, submitting her into a chokehold, where he musters the strength to tell her, "If you need Marcel, I'll be Marcel." This becomes the first intimation for Reiner's dissociative identity disorder, that grows aggressively and malignantly throughout his stay at Paradise, shrouding reality and his true identity. He will embody someone for the sake of completing the mission, even if it means forsaking himself. The death of Reiner Braun. Later into the story, after infiltrating their enemies' camps and being admitted into their military, while on one of the missions in the villages that was roaming with titans because of Reiner's foolhardy and reckless decision to destroy the wall that protected the people from the man-eating titans. Incidentally, another characteristic of his histrionic disorder. Bertolt and Reiner shared with each other some sensitive information regarding their undercover mission, and Marcos, a fellow member of the Survey Corps, caught ear of what they said and was shocked to hear that they were responsible for the wall's destruction and the massive number of deaths that ensued. As he tried to escape, Reiner caught him and pulled his arms behind his back tightly so that Annie can immobilize him by removing his ODM gear, a device which allows the Survey Corps to travel freely through the air. Once they finished, they left him on a roof of a building, left at the mercy of a titan that snatched him and ate him alive. He cried desperately for help, but warriors stood there, appalled by what they were witnessing, overcome by regret, until Reiner suddenly shifts in his mood and acts differently, perplexed as to why Marco is being mauled by this titan. This instance is a clear example of his alternate personality, the one he formed as a soldier in Paradise Island in the Survey Corps, take full control as the external source of stress is so overwhelming that it is too painful for Reiner to comprehend. He disassociates his conscious self from being the instigator in Marco's unfortunate death. He cannot come to accept his atrocious deed, so he separates himself and switches to an innocent and admirable ego, the soldier, the one which everyone looked up to in the squad of the Survey Corps, concealing his true identity in despair. Furthermore, after a couple of months, Reiner Braun flagrantly confesses to Eren that he is indeed the Armored Titan, and that Bertolt is the Colossal Titan, the Titan shifters who caused chaos and havoc. Eren and Bertolt are in disbelief and awe. Bertolt is unnerved that Reiner would admit to being the perpetrator of the disaster alongside him. Eren refuses to believe what Reiner admits and tells him to stop joking around. Reiner then realizes that he had made a grave mistake. He is in a profound state of bewilderment with his identity and thus his purpose. He mutters regretfully that he's been there for too long for his own good. He's abandoned his mission upon witnessing the pure innocence and goodness of the people on the island. He's been feigning to be a brave and righteous soldier for too long, that he's begun to forget the reason why he came. Reiner forbids himself from playing the good guy anymore. He exclaims that he doesn't know what is right or wrong anymore, but he will carry out his mission to the bitter end, as a warrior. The tension between his two state of minds, the warrior and the soldier, lessen, almost finding equilibrium and understanding in this moment, as he comes to partially accept reality, and wishes to adhere to one identity, the one where he is the hero of Marley, because then he truly exists in his own eyes, and in the eyes of Marley. He returns to his former self and carries out the mission by capturing Eren and escaping with Bertolt. Not too long after capturing Eren, they take cover on top of giant trees, and there's a sudden transition in Reiner's character once again. He casually remarks to Bertolt that it's about time that they are promoted to captains of the squad. That as soldiers, they've worked really hard and deserve to be recognized for their sacrifices. Eren is absolutely baffled by his absurd demands and tells him to snap out of it. Bertolt looks down at Reiner and reminds him that he is not a soldier. He is a warrior. As he says those final words, Reiner trembles in agony and is inundated by trepidation. Here, the existence of two identities is illustrated comprehensively. Reiner suffers from the conflict that arises between the two identities, the Eldian soldier and the Marleyan warrior. Especially after revealing the truth about destroying the wall, Reiner's regret is so overwhelming that he returns to playing the soldier, so as to disassociate himself from what just happened. He continues to live in deep confusion and fight for having a purpose and a mission in the story. In the final sections of the story, Reiner is noticeably more passive and sadder. He is ultimately discontented with himself and his efforts. He failed the mission, abandoned Annie, and Bertolt is dead. Reiner sees no future for his life. Everything he fought for and strived for, to be recognized as a hero, to make his mother proud, and to achieve the status of Marleyan, now feels meaningless, because he has no one to share that achievement with, not even himself. His failures and bereavement are too great that they cast a shadow over his triumphs. He loathes himself for betraying the camaraderie he established with the Survey Corps, and for having also briefly betrayed the will of Marley, as he got sidetracked and engrossed into the character he played as a soldier. The anguish he experiences is so great that his feeling of hopelessness motivates him to attempt to commit suicide by sticking a rifle into his mouth and locking it in place. Reflecting on his memories at Paradise Island, the only time where he was proud of himself and satisfied. Everything beyond those wholesome and comforting moments at the Survey Corps evokes too much misery and sorrow. This is an example of his major depression. He fails to end his life because he is reminded that he must be an example for the younger warrior candidates that follow, and one of them will, in time, inherit his title. So until then, he musters up the determination to continue living and leading a life that they can look up to. This moment is what gives Reiner a final meaningful purpose to keep existing. He has to look after the young warriors and become the father figure he so dearly longed for. Now, as he comes to terms with reality and takes ownership of his wicked actions, the tempestuous mind of Reiner Braun eases into a tensionless state between his two identities. He no longer suffers from alternate personalities as intensely as before, because he's not eluding his actions. He confronts them and takes accountability, accepting the harrowing truth of his choices. There is no longer a need for an alternate personality to sheath him from the emotional consequences, as he now endures them dutifully.